Okay, so at this point, the Batmobile is one of the most famous and iconic cars in Hollywood history. First debuting in Detective Comics as a red roadster, the car has transformed over the decades to become as stylized as the Batman behind the wheel driving it. For every new iteration of the Dark Knight that we get, we also get a new car to fit, and these machines very much echo the personality and attributes of whoever's in the cowl. Just in the same way that James Bond will forever be tied to his range of Aston Martins, Batman is very much tied to the car, and each one of them is symbolic on a number of levels. Anton Furst's Batmobile perfectly fit Michael Keaton's stylized gothic take, Nolan's Tumbler echoed the groundedness and practicality of Bale's Batman, and Robert Pattinson's is also a machine that mirrors the way that he is. Getting the tone of the movie right very much depends on the choices that are applied to the car, and it can very much make or break every incarnation of the Caped Crusader. The Batman brilliantly brings his ride to life, and throughout this video we're going to be discussing why we think it's one of the best car chase scenes ever put to film. If you enjoy the video, then we massively appreciate the thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe for breakdowns like this every day. But out of the way, welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul. Now let's get into why we think chicks dig the car. Okay, so if you followed us during our run up to the release of the Batman, then you'll know that we made several videos on the new Batmobile. In 2020, it was stated that the new ride would be somewhat of a muscle car that Bruce built up in the same DIY manner that he crafted his armor. Through the film, we even get several hints towards this, and when he first enters the Batcave, you can catch it under a top. There's then shots of chains, the engine, and throughout the film, Reeves slowly planted in our minds that it's coming. However, what we didn't expect to see was just how terrifying it was, and in many ways, it perfectly mirrors Batman. At the beginning of the movie, when we're introduced to the Dark Knight, we hear a monologue in which he talks about how he lurks in the shadows, waiting for his prey. Upon emerging at the train station, he strikes a terrifying figure, and this idea of Batman coming out of this darkness is too echoed in the introduction of the car. After a shootout with Penguin, we watch as Cobblepot hears the menacing scream of the car's engine from down a dark alleyway. Similar to how Batman appeared at the train station, this silhouette emerges from the darkness, growling like a monster, taking on a life of its own. Now if you've seen our breakdown of the opening scene, then you'll know we very much discussed how Reeves took a lot of inspiration from horror movies. Just in the same way that killers like Michael Myers and Jason slowly walk towards their prey, the Batman does too. It really laces the scenes with fear, and the slow lumbering footsteps from the darkness are put in place to fill Batman's enemies with dread.
In the Penguin's point of view, as he's lying upside down, as you have this kind of mythic appearance of Batman sort of with fire raging behind him.
The horror inspiration extends to the car as well, and Reeves has stated in interviews that he very much took inspiration from the John Carpenter classic Christine. Growing up, this was one of my favourite films ever because there was just something so mysterious about the killer car. In case you haven't seen it, it's based on the book of the same name by Stephen King, in which we watch a dark and demonic car that has an evil presence inside of it. Over time, it twists its timid owner Arnie into a complete psychopath, and we watch as his best friend attempts to stop both him and the car Christine. Now what makes the movie so memorable is that the ride is indestructible, and no matter what happens to it, it fixes itself. It mercilessly stalks its prey, and there are several scenes such as it driving down the road on fire that Reeves clearly cribbed from in order to make his movie. Now after scaring the crap out of the Penguin, Batman gives him a second chance to escape, which is something that Christine also did to its prey. This kickstarts the chase scene that spans the highways of Gotham, and on a technical level, Reeves achieves the impossible. Whenever you watch car chases in movies, you might notice that most of them are filmed in daylight with pretty clear weather conditions. This extends to things like Bullet, The Matrix Reloaded, The Bourne Identity, and a lot more. Those done at night tend to have either an overpass or cover, as the elements can cause a lot of issues. Driving in the rain is tough enough as it is, but Reeves actually ignored the typical way of doing things, and he decided to do it in wet conditions to add to the frantic feeling of the film. When discussing what he was going for, Matt said to the Real Blend podcast,
and Greg deliberately sought out the most technically flawed anamorphic lenses you could possibly have, because I was really obsessed with the kind of 70s filmmaking that was kind of like in the vein of the tone that I thought sort of was our movie that was kind of like, The French Connection or like Clute, like these neo-noir films, and they were, that were shot, in many cases anamorphic. And those lenses at that time were rough.
This definitely comes across in the movie, and you very much feel like you're in there with Batman as he chases down the Penguin. Cars smash around them, there's several close calls, and other vehicles whiz past your head as you follow the face-off. Sound design often adds to movies, and anyone who's seen this in IMAX knows how heart-pounding it is as you hear the noises of the freeway flying around you.
Whoa! This guy's crazy! I got you! I got you!
It not only levitates how intimidating that Batman is, but it also plants the idea in Oswald's head that he's completely unstoppable. He unloads Uzis on him, steers cars into his path, and generally just throws everything at him, but it just isn't enough. In our last video, we discussed how he was very much like the Terminator, and that Batman would stop at nothing to close in on his target. Reeves actually takes a lot of similar iconography to what appeared in Terminator 1 and 2, and the unstoppable machine shares some similarities with the Batman. No matter what Oswald puts in his path, he just keeps going, constantly in his rearview mirror right behind him. Everything culminates with Oswald causing a crash that sends several trucks into each other, and these explode, destroying most of the highway. As the Penguin celebrates, we see that shot which calls back to Christine, and the Batmobile rises through the fire, almost like a demon from the flames. He hits the back of Penguin's car and sends him flying through the air, which we watch play out from the back seat of his ride. As the fire burns the night sky, the Batman steps out, and the black figure stands strong against the orange background. This is upside down like a bat, and the contrast between the dark shadows and the orange makes everything pop. Very much bringing up the imagery of a demon, he slowly walks towards the crashed car, and this of course echoes how he paced towards his victims earlier in the movie. The Batman seems unstoppable because of this, and it very much shows how he's elevating the idea of fear in the criminals of Gotham. At the start of the movie, he was fighting low-level thugs, and when this moved up to the Iceberg Lounge, nobody there was intimidated. Oswald even called him sweetheart, and this very much extended to his bouncers and showed Batman's effect was very much low level. However, this chase has risen his intimidation, and it's shown that he's now going after those higher up the chain. This of course extends to the movie, in which he ends up taking down Falcone before moving on to the Riddler. The car chase very much sits at the midpoint of the film, and it shows this progression through the ranks. Just in the same way that the Batman is a tool of fear, the car is too, and it elevates the persona and legend that he's crafting in Gotham. No matter what, if he has you in your sights, the Batman will come for you, and there's absolutely no escape. It's an incredible piece of filmmaking that supplants the new Batmobile as one of the best ever, and it's the perfect way to introduce the car. Not only does it strike fear into its foes, it also dominates the road, provides a relentless chase, and gives us an incredible scene that shows how skilled Reeves is as a filmmaker. This is one of the standout scenes in the movie, and I hope you enjoyed our breakdown of it. Now obviously I'd love to hear your thoughts, so make sure you comment below and let me know. I just want to give a huge thank you for getting our last perfect scene video to 500,000 views, and I hope you're enjoying this series that we're now doing regularly. I've also just featured on Unleash the Ghouls, talking about why Batman and Robin is so hilarious. It's a really fun video, a lot more jokes than in this one, and definitely go check it out right after this. If not, I don't know what's wrong with you, but I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. You take care of yourself, I'm out. Peace.